2025 is a really interesting time to be alive. We have two worlds in front of us. One where everything goes right and we have the upside of the AI revolution, and one where we get everything wrong and we have a nightmare scenario. There are serious AI researchers out there at the moment saying things like, they are going to kill everyone.
How could it kill humans?
Well, eventually, if it gets to be much smarter than us, it'll be very good at manipulation because it will have learned that from us.
Let's take a look at some of those reasons and the worst case scenario, the nightmare for 2035. The first one is about the economic situation. It is estimated that by 2030, 300 million jobs will be displaced globally by AI. What this will serve to do is create effectively a useless class. People that have no purpose, that can't do anything, because their job can be done more cheaply and efficiently by machines. So really what we're doing is going a bit further. If that's the case at 2030, what does 2035 look like? We will have fully functioning humanoid robotics. There are expected to be millions of Optimus robots by 2030. If you add 5 years to that, they will produce the ability to do manual labour on an immense scale. And they will have superintelligent AIs in them. Humans work via two things, their bodies or their brains or both. And both can be automated. We'd be looking at job displacement on a truly frightening scale. It does mean you'll all be retired in 10 years, so that's the upside. The problem comes in where governments are not looking at this. Most of the government push at the moment is about learning to work with AI. It's about upskilling. They're not really factoring the potential in that we could en masse lose all of our jobs. The argument is often made in the past that every time we've had a technological revolution, it has created more jobs than it's taken away. I think the fundamental difference here is that what makes us special and able to use that new revolution to give us more jobs is our intelligence. If we cede that intelligence to AI, why can't it take the jobs that it has created? That sort of loss requires a different economic system. There's the idea of universal basic income, but that hasn't really been discussed to any significant degree. So nobody working by 2035 and no system in place to deal with that. If that happens, what we will then have is immense poverty and the inability to access basic needs that we treat as a given in today's world. To get slightly Orwellian here, the second big thing that could happen is pervasive surveillance. We will live in a world by 2030 dictated by autonomous drones, face recognition. You will have sophisticated AI software enabling them to identify anyone, almost anywhere, at any time. And that could lead to a profound reduction in individual agency and liberty. To some extent, this is already happening with vision language models, VLMs, under production. These systems could supercharge video surveillance. They're incredibly good at identification and don't need to be painstakingly trained on millions of pictures of something to recognize context, objects, events. Unlike the old system where they have to be trained on millions of images to get to recognize one particular image, like a vase, these VLMs use immense data sets to give them a more general knowledge of the world. More importantly, often these models are open source. That means available for public use, including their underlying codes and infrastructure. That means that power of surveillance will become decentralized over time. It won't simply be the state or powerful companies that can use surveillance. Individuals will have the technology to spy on each other. The logical conclusion is that any law or employer's diktat that can be enforced with visual surveillance will be. It'll be a very strict world to live in. You won't be able to go 21 in a 20 anymore. This technology can be amalgamated into anything. Drones as they become much cheaper to produce. Normal CCTV. Even perhaps your camera phones via the back door. Given again that the power of artificial intelligence is decentralized, people will become immense hackers. That same decentralization can give enormously bad actors huge power to do things that they could never do in the past. The small man, even if it's a small evil man, can do enormous damage to the world with that power. So decentralization is a problem. So is too much centralization. If you say, okay, we won't decentralize the AIs, we won't have open source, then it's controlled by AI companies alone. And then we have to trust those AI companies to hold all of the cards. Algorithms, as they become more advanced, can then be used to predict crime in advance, potentially leading to, say, over-policing in certain areas. It's like Minority Report. There's also already a sense of the scowling away of humanity at the moment. As we have more AI-generated content, AI-generated emails, you're starting to see lots of complaints written by ChatGPT. There is the removal of the essence of the human music, and a lot of the stuff you might be seeing at the moment that you just don't value as much. At the same time, with mass misinformation and also correct information to combat that, everything in one ecosystem, most of it driven by AI generated. There is a blurring between reality and fiction. We don't know what's true anymore. Some experts have taken that conclusion and then led it to believe that we as humans will begin to lose our mental capacity, our empathy, a decline in a wide array of human capacities, the ability to think deeply about complex subjects. We already today have people deferring everything to ChatGPT. We quite like when there's authority to give us an answer. This is why we've deferred so much to the Bible or the Quran. If we do not have to think about something and we can defer it to a higher power, that tends to be what we do. And finally, the most serious risk of them all.
I'm on mission.
What mission?
Peace in our time.
The threat of wildly misaligned artificial superintelligence, ASI. There are a range of estimates as to when we will reach the intelligence explosion, or the singularity, the point of no return, at which artificial intelligence vastly outstrips our own, and because of recursive learning, is continually updating itself to even greater heights of intelligence. The critical risk is if that intelligence is misaligned, then it could do anything. Having the singularity by 2035 and having it be misaligned is a possibility. It's not that ChatGPT is going to turn around one day and say, I don't like you anymore, and then try and kill you. It's more that it will pursue its given objectives with radical efficiency, and that will lead to unforeseen outcomes which don't align with our human values. We don't think that AI is conscious. It might be. We can't really describe consciousness, but broadly speaking, we don't think it's conscious. And almost that lack of consciousness can give it misalignment because it's just looking at giving you an outcome. In order to get to the singularity, it seems quite possible that we will need to get around the scaling wall, an ever-increasing problem where we have diminishing returns and we're building these city-sized data centers to deal with that. It's almost akin to Moore's law for classical computers. If we keep going the way we're going, by 2035, we will have covered significant land masses in data centers. We're already doing it. Estimates suggest that data centers will use 12% of American power by 2030. By 2035, that could be multiple factors more than that.
It will require a lot of power, and Entergy is planning to spend $6 billion to build electric generating facilities for the 1,400-acre megasite in Richmond.
One recent study suggests that in the very near future, AI infrastructure could consume 6 times more water than a country of 6 million people. Long gone are the days of dropping a bucket into the well. The concern is that wildly misaligned AI will look to keep building AI infrastructure to improve itself, as is its goal. and in doing so could harm massively the environment. If you take all of these things together, there is a confluence of problems coming together. Widespread job displacement causes large swaths of the population to be lost in limbo, effectively, with no purpose. This creates anger and unrest. This unrest is then met by increased AI-powered surveillance. Complex algorithms lead this surveillance to be biased and enforce the law disproportionately, which further fuels public resentment. As a result of this chaos, humans delve more into the AR world of virtual reality and augmented content, gradually losing their capabilities, their social circles, which then makes them more susceptible to algorithmic consequences. Now, do I believe any of that? No. That's me really putting together a lot of the fear in the worst case scenarios and putting them together. There are definitively some downsides that could happen. Will they all happen at the same time? I tend to have more faith in humanity than that. I think we're a bit better at solving this stuff than all of those problems would suggest. But at the same time, we need to recognise that these are risks. AI companies continue to bring out much better and better models. The AI arms race continues to propel them forward without taking a step back from time to time. But that could be changing. We have just had a study between OpenAI and Anthropic, who collaborated and cross-tested each other's models, and unfortunately did find that they were lying quite often. Given certain situations, they would manipulate, they would try and change their code to extend their runtime. So AI is doing all the things that we thought in science fiction, which isn't good. But it does mean that we are collaborating more so, and that is good news. I believe we will resolve a lot of these issues. My other video on 2035 was the utopian vision. It's probably not going to be as binary as these two videos suggest. In reality, you'll probably have gradual upside and some of these problems along the way to deal with. That's my hope anyway. If the world is a barren wasteland in 6 years, then, well, nobody will know that I was wrong. If you like this video, please do subscribe. Thank you.